Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. This is Mr. Shakespeare here again with you on the 3rd of January 2024. And I'm joined again today with psychic medium and remote viewer Liz Cross. How are you doing today, Liz?
I'm shocked. I
You're
did
shocked?
not expect John Lennon today.
No, because I did not give you any heads up that that's what we were going to do. Because I always find that if I don't tell you anything or give you any heads up, sometimes these things come out very well. So you have no idea, and I had no idea I was going to do that today. So,
No,
you need to get a connection with John, please.
I have him here. He just threw flowers at me.
Oh, that's nice.
Hmm.
Okay, so this guy was born 9th of October, 1940 in Liverpool, and he was assassinated apparently on 8th of December, 1980, by somebody called Chapman, if I remember rightly. So the story went that Chapman was some deranged guy. A lot of people don't believe that, or they think he was some part of some sort of MK Ultra or mind control experiment. What does John think about it?
Do you believe that he was part of a mind control experiment? He thought he was, but was he? No. Looking down from where John Lennon is, no, he was schizophrenic. But
He
he
was just
believed.
right. Okay. Um. Okay. Yeah. Well, a lot of people thought that he was because John Lennon was getting a bit. He was promoting peace and promoting all things that the military-industrial complex and the warring parties don't want. So he was starting to get. I remember at the time he really was starting to get very, very vocal about things, and the establishment didn't really like him. Does he believe that the establishment in any way had anything to do with his death?
Do you believe that the establishment in any way had anything to do with your death? No. They did try to shut him up, though. He
Okay.
was warned. He did receive death threats.
Okay.
He was told that if he didn't be quiet, they would make sure he was locked up in jail and prison for the rest of his life for offenses he may or may not have committed.
Right.
And so things were actually heating up. And the way things were going, now get this what he's just said to me, right? The way things were going, I wouldn't have stopped. This guy who killed him did him a favor. Because he said if it was a choice of being in jail for the rest of my life for crimes I didn't commit or to be dead, I would rather be dead.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So they must have, right. Okay. So that must have been some pretty serious threats made at the time then.
He was being followed, he was being watched, he was being bugged. Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think the FBI or the FBI or CIA had files on him. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. What does he think of his um wife, Yoko Ono? Was she part of any plot against him in any way, shape, or form? I'm only asking this because I've grown up with people saying things like this off and on. Not so much nowadays, but a lot of people think that she was planted on him to try and calm him down and keep him more quiet. I don't know.
Do you believe Yoko had anything? No, he still is in love with her to this day, is what he's
Okay.
just said.
She's about 90 years old now. Wow.
Is she? Where is she? Does anybody know where she is? She's not
I,
well.
I
He
think,
said she's not well.
okay. I don't know. I think she lives in New York, doesn't she? I'm not sure, actually. She's off everybody's radar screen for now. I know that.
Well, when she does pass, he will be the first one she embraces.
Right. Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad that those rumors were, so they were probably put out as disinfo to divide and conquer like everything else. So, okay, what does he think of the current situation that's going on in the world now about all these wars that are popping up everywhere?
It's
Because he was
disgusting that humanity has not moved on.
right. Yeah, we're still killing each other, aren't we? And that was something he was vehemently against. You know, he was one of the biggest peace activists and of his generation, I think.
The
Okay.
killing will never stop, he says. It will always, as long as there's humans on the earth, there will always be war, he says. It's
Mm,
inevitable. It's in our DNA. It's in our nature. There will always be war and killing, mass murder, genocide, always.
right. But I mean, a lot of this is, there's a huge military industrial complex in America, which produces a lot of weaponry. And if there's no wars, there's nobody to sell them to. So it is a bit self-perpetuating, isn't it?
Is it self-perpetuating? Yes, that's true. That's true. But don't forget, in a lot of these probes, especially the spiritual ones, the one thing that we have always gotten is that the universe is designed to be competitive, right?
Hmm.
It's not in the natural order of the universe to be this loving, free thinking, holding hands, pure love way of life from the top down. It's never been like that. The universe was created purely out of competitive reasons. So,
Right.
why would we have something that is not competitive? Which is why we have wars. We
I
fight
know,
over
but
food.
just because we're in competition, I mean, imagine a football match where side A plays side B wins, and then side A doesn't like it, so they kill them. I mean, you can't have that. I mean, competition does not need to lead to war.
He agrees with you, but that's not how the universe is constructed.
Right. Okay. Would he have done anything different in his life, looking back?
Absolutely nothing.
Right. At the height of Beatle Mania, did he think that Beatle Mania came across the Beatles just a little bit too quick, or did he now? I mean, looking back, does he now think that it was inevitable?
Do you think that Beatle Mania came across too quick? No, it didn't really come across that quick. He said we worked hard to get where we were. It
Right.
was a new sound and it was a new vibe and new music, but they still worked very hard, morning, noon, and night, at perfecting at who they were. It
Mm,
wasn't easy.
no. Okay. Um, growing up in Liverpool, born just when the war was on. So after the war, was it? I mean, was it pretty tough for him?
Very. And, there were times where there wasn't food on the table.
Hmm. Okay. Um, at what stage in his life did he decide? I mean, how and when did music grab him?
Music grabbed him when he was 2 years old.
Okay. Wow.
Um, he's always been musical, and that's all they had. More than anything else, they had music in the home. I feel like his family were always singing. Music always got them through the hard times.
Hmm. Okay. And how old was he when his friendship with Paul started?
How old were you when the friendship with Paul started? It was very young. Was it 12 or before 12? Maybe even before 12. It was young. But I feel
Yeah.
like they started coming into their own when they turned into teenagers. So
Right.
13, 14. And he's laughing now because some of that early stuff was terrible, he says. I mean, we would just make songs up about anything.
Hmm. Okay. Can you pause it there a minute, please?
Yes, of course. I feel like they started out quite young. And don't there were different, people drifting in and drifting out,
Hmm.
making music. Some were good, some were not so good.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. When did he?
He started to put a band together when he was quite young. The
Yeah.
band was, he's telling me, the band was like mostly his idea.
Right. Well, I mean, he was involved. It says that he was involved in the skiffle craze as a teenager. So, I mean, that would have been in the 50s. So he would have been about 15, 16, that kind of age. So, I mean, he was in a band called the Quarrymen. So, what does he remember about them?
They were terrible.
Okay, but it was the Quarrymen that was said to be, which evolved into the Beatles. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So obviously it was the Beatles that then, that's where it all gelled together and came together. Um, what did he think in the 60s? We're moving on now to the 60s. There was always a thing going on. You were either for the Beatles or the Stones. What did you think of the Rolling Stones?
What do you think about the Rolling Stones? He's giving me a thumbs down. And I'm saying, does that rivalry still exist? And he says yes, but he's laughing.
Right.
No, really, what do you think about the Stones today? I mean, good God, they still tour. He says he thinks that's brilliant.
Yeah. Okay. When did he start getting involved in the peace movement then? Sorry, what triggered him to get involved in the peace side of it? Because he was the most vocal, I remember.
What triggered you to get involved in the peace movement? He's telling me Yoko.
Oh, really?
That was her thing.
Right. Okay.
And she would say to him, you're so powerful, you're so listened to, you're so well respected.
Mm.
They would talk about it, and whenever they would talk about it, people would listen, but they didn't listen to her.
Well,
They didn't
no,
so
no,
much
but I
listen
mean,
to
so
her.
yeah, I mean, it makes sense that she. Okay, so that makes sense. Yeah, he had the voice that. Sorry, he had the name, the persona, and everything. So, I mean, yeah, it's crazy the way that pop stars and movie stars, perhaps not so much nowadays, but back in those days, whatever they said was treated like gospel. I mean, so yes, he could use his platform, the John Lennon platform. So, but I didn't realize it was his wife's idea. Interesting. Okay. Um, why did the Beatles split up?
There was a lot of discord, and life just moved on. They couldn't come to agreement. Life was busy. They were all making names for themselves. Of course, I have to ask, was it Yoko that split it up? No, according to him, he says no, not really. But she did ruffle a lot of feathers. But that was
Yeah.
all part of it. We all had to put up with each other's wives, each other's families, and it was just getting too big. We were all going in different directions.
Right. Okay. Okay. Okay.
She did upset the people though.
Yeah. What was his when he was at school? What was his school life like? Did he have a happy school time or not so happy?
No, I mean, he just did what he had to do to get by. He wasn't really interested in being at school. He didn't enjoy it.
All right.
It was just something he did.
Mm-hmm.
He enjoyed more of the social aspect of it, but not so much the education.
Right. Okay. Okay. I think that's we may well come back to this guy. And if people want to write to you and maybe they've got more questions, maybe we can do another probe later on. But I think for now we'll leave this one here. Thank you.
Wow, I'm really shocked by this. I really am. This was a good one. Of course, there'll be people out there listening in the audience that will know every theory and every, reason known to man. And
Yeah.
if that is the case, then what we ask you to do is to drop those questions either in the comment field on YouTube or submit a probe through my website, psychiclizcross.com. Because, I'm sure there's going to be people out there that have read and reread and followed and that know this stuff. And they may have some more in-depth questions. So I think revisiting John Lennon again would be a good idea. All right. Well, and just a side note, I don't know about you, Mr. Shakespeare. Do you ever watch Carpool Karaoke?
What? Sorry. Carpool. Karaoke. No.
Carpool. Have you never seen Carpool Karaoke?
No, I probably missed that one.
Oh, this is so cheesy, right? But whenever I need a bit of cheering up,
Yeah.
I'll watch Carpool Karaoke on YouTube. And they actually did one with Paul McCartney. You
Mm-hmm.
should watch it. It's quite good. It's quite good.
Okay.
Dad
Never
hates
heard of it.
my dad hates carpool karaoke, but actually when I put on Paul McCartney one, he was like, "Oh, well, he does keep good company." So, yeah, it's good. Some of it's a bit naff, yes, I understand, but James Corden did carpool karaoke over here for years, and I quite enjoy it.
Okay, I
There's
can't
some
stand
that
him, so if he's on it, I wouldn't watch it.
oh, oh God, here we go. That's another probe altogether. We'll do him next. All right, I'll stop this
Oh,
one
please
here.
no.
All right, thank